All right, we've got NWSL games this weekend. Full slate of games. Memorial Day weekend, so it's going Friday through Monday. So games. Friday through Monday. Orlando Pride versus Washington Spirit is going to kick things off on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Chicago Red Stars versus Portland Thorns will be taking place on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we've got a triple header on Sunday. OL Reign versus San Diego Wave at 3 p.m. Eastern. Houston Dash versus North Carolina Courage at 7 p.m. Eastern. And Angel City FC versus Gotham FC at 8 p.m. Eastern. And closing out things on for Memorial Day weekend will be Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be Kansas City Current versus Racing Louisville. You can find these matches across all kinds of CBS platforms. The match on Friday will be taking place on CBS Sports Network. You can also find some of them on Paramount Plus as well. Let's go ahead and start chatting about some of these games. We've got some Challenge Cup flashbacks that are going to be taking place this weekend. So let's start with those games. Orlando Pride versus Washington Spirit. These two teams going head to head after facing each other a little bit in the group stage round as two East region teams. When we're looking at these two teams going head to head on Friday, Lisa, are you picking a winner in this one and why?
I am. So we have this segment dubbed as Challenge Cup Flashbacks because these teams have seen each other a lot already. So they opened Challenge Cup play together, tied 0-0. And then the second time they played each other in the group stages of the Challenge Cup, Washington Spirit beat Orlando Pride 4-1. We saw goals from Sanchez, Sullivan, Hatch, Rodman, and then Jonsdottir able to get the fourth goal in that series before the fifth one came from Rodman towards the end of the match. But between these two sides, I think we've seen a lot of struggles from Washington Spirit recently due to player fatigue, back-to-back games, dealing with bits of injuries, some unlucky calls happening in games where players are getting injured. I know that Chris Ward has spoken verbally about that. He even got fined by the league for talking about the officiating in that sense. However, I think Washington Spirit still comes out on top of this matchup between these two sides. Just seeing kind of how this has all really come about. For Orlando, they've had good moments and they have a great high press. And this game is being played in Orlando at Exploria Stadium. So I expect to see that from Orlando Pride with Leah Pruitt up top and Sydney LaRue, Darian Jenkins, a really high press. However, Washington's back line with Sonnet, Staub, O'Hara, I'm expecting to be back. I know Andy Sullivan and Kelly O'Hara are getting more and more minutes. They played limited minutes last weekend. They're still on a minute restriction, but I'm expecting to see more from them. But between the back line of Washington Spirit, they can play out of a high press from Orlando Pride. So I give Spirit the upper hand in this one and they'll get the win. What about you, Sandra? Thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think these are just two different teams where they were, even in just that very first match that they faced each other in week one of Challenge Cup. It was a scoreless draw, physical match between those two sides. And they're just in two completely different places now in the regular season and post Challenge Cup. I think this is a Washington Spirit side that has had to deal with a really match heavy schedule in the front part of their regular season here. And I think it's going to be a little different for them heading into this week, sort of having a different type of week of preparation for a team that they're not unfamiliar with, and this is a team that maybe they have more familiarity with, versus when they face them off early in the Challenge Cup versus later in the later stage of the Challenge Cup. This is a team that they're going to be used to seeing Aaron McLeod in net. They're going to be used to seeing Sydney LaRue back available on the pitch for these teams. I would imagine that with the personnel involved in this game, that maybe it might be another physical matchup again, but I just think that the Washington Spirit welcoming back someone, even on a minutes restriction, somebody like an Andy Sullivan will perhaps alleviate some things in the middle third for this Spirit side that has kind of struggled a little bit in her absence. So I'm also going with the Washington Spirit in this one. And you know what that means. When we both go one way, things kind of turn out to be the other. But we'll see what happens out of this game. And we'll talk about whether we were right or whether we were wrong. But another Challenge Challenge Cup Flashback is going to be OL Reign versus San Diego Wave FC. That one kicking off Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're looking at an OL Reign side on a quick turnaround, Wednesday to Sunday, a little bit different than maybe going a Wednesday to Friday or Wednesday to Saturday. But this is a team coming off of their first regular season win, going up against San Diego Wave, starting off hot in the regular season. Lisa, who are you looking at this one and why?
During the Challenge Cup, these two teams, they met. First time, OL Reign took the cake 3-1 over San Diego. The second time, it was a tie, though. Alex Morgan knocking down a penalty kick in that match. She actually scored in both of these games against OL Reign, and I think that says a lot. But OL Reign, they scored 3 goals in April when these two teams played. We haven't seen that from OL Reign. A win, we just saw this midweek action, but a multi-goal game, we have not seen that from OL Reign. And that's, I think, could be the Achilles heel of this OL Reign team, especially as they go up against a San Diego squad that didn't play midweek action, doesn't have a quick turnaround on the Sunday, a Wednesday-Sunday game. And between these two sides, honestly, this is going to be a really good game. I'm really excited for this one because the midfield matchup between these two sides is going to be very interesting to see which team will control the midfield. Now, San Diego traveling to Lumen Field, so OL Reign will host this one. I see this ending in a draw, but I don't want to pick a draw. So I went against OL Reign on Wednesday for this midweek action against Kansas City, and they ended up winning. Can they go back to back? Is this streak continuously done, or is San Diego going to continue on this incredible win streak that they have, winning 4 of their last 5 games? Yeah, I think they are. I'm going to go with San Diego Wave in this one.
Okay, I like it. I like the energy around San Diego. Listen, this is a game I was looking at and going a little bit back and forth on in this one. And this is the match that I think I'm most excited to watch this weekend. We've seen some frustrating games, I'll say, between clubs that have faced each other multiple times already this early in the season, and we're looking at these Challenge Cup flashbacks, and these were 2 teams that faced off twice in the West region of the group stage in Challenge Cup, and now they're going to get a crack at each other in the regular season. So there's it's not like there's that there's not any familiarity between these two sides. There are. I'm also very, very intrigued in the coaching matchup in this one that's going to be taking place with Laura Harvey on one side and Casey Stoney on the other. I have appreciated what we've been witnessing in these very early weeks of San Diego Wave and what they have been producing out on the pitch. I think it's easy to maybe take a look at these two sides and say, maybe there's going to be some fatigue from OL Reign. Maybe there's going to be, heavy legs towards, the end of a game. But I just think that, again, I said, going Wednesday to Sunday is a little bit different than maybe going Wednesday to Friday or Wednesday to Saturday. There's also the fact that this is not a team that's going to travel.
There's no travel.
They're going to stay. They're staying at home. They get to go through the rest of the remainder of their week. They get to, get as much rest as they can. And this is another team, maybe perhaps when we're looking at the Washington Spirit, another team that has had a very match-heavy start to their regular season. Now, that being said, I'm also looking once more at the goals in this one, and not the goals that will be scored, but the goal post. Because on one end, we're going to have Kaylin Sheridan, and on the other end, we're going to have Fallon Tillis-Joyce. So I'm a little curious if despite having some really good attacking pieces for both teams here, if we're going to watch this one settle out to be a little bit of a keepers game. And again, I wouldn't hate it. We're big fans of keepers here on attacking third. So it's tough for me to it was tough for me to go back and forth in this game and say, like, is there going to be a winner? Is there going to be a loser? And you say you want to choose a draw, and I'm leaning that way as well. But for parity here, if you're going San Diego, I'll go OL Reign. But I want it on record that I was really leaning towards a draw in this one. So we'll see what folds out in this match between the two sides. Last one for a Challenge Cup flashback. We've got Kansas City Current versus Racing Louisville. Lisa, this is going to be the Memorial Day match, Monday, kicking off at 3 p.m. Eastern. Who are you picking in this one and why?
This is a tough one because Kansas City is coming off this midweek action, but they have plenty of days rest. So I don't think it affects them that much. They're also hosting this. So they'll be back at Children's Mercy Park, heading up against Racing Louisville throughout the Challenge Cup, a 1-1 draw the first time. And then Racing Louisville takes the cake in the second meeting between these two sides, 3-0, lots of goals in this one. It actually started with an own goal in this match, but for that second meeting in the Challenge Cup between Racing Louisville and Kansas City is when we saw a change in Racing Louisville. We saw them find their footing a little bit, find that magic that Jess McDonald can bring to the front line, a little bit more energy, a little bit more intensity, a little bit more swagger, honestly, about who this Racing Louisville side can be. Honestly, this is a really tough pick for me. I know we talked about draws in the last match between OL Reign and San Diego, but between these two sides, Racing Louisville is coming off of a win over Gotham, and Kansas City is coming off of a pretty tough loss over OL Reign. I could see this one ending in a draw between these two sides. I think I'm going to stick with the draw.
I respect this. And listen, there's going to be, when we've got 6 games to go through, there's going to be a draw that sneaks in here or there on my end or on your end. And I don't blame you. I think when you're looking at the teams who are going head to head, who have had this much playing time against one another to start off the season, there's the potential for a match to maybe be a little bit of a slog, a little bit of a grind, maybe a little bit of a slugfest at some point. So I respect the draw in any of these Challenge Cup flashback games that we're going through. Maybe this one in particular, because the Central region was very much like kind of a mixed bag of tricks. It was like, what are we going to get today, and from who, and what are we going to see? So you know what? I think in honor of that and respect to that, I am going to choose a winner. I'm going to be going Racing in this one. Nice. I want to see more from Racing Louisville. I'm 100% captivated and intrigued right now by what they've got going on. They're undefeated in their last 4 games. And quite frankly, I just don't think people are talking enough about that. Racing Louisville's undefeated in their last 4 games of the regular season. And they handed San Diego their first loss, on when the Wave were challenged to test their win streak on the road. And while it was a narrow victory, guess what? It was enough. And sometimes in the very, very tough league, that's all it takes. I hope it is a win for Racing Louisville, but even more so within that, I would love to see the continuity that we're witnessing from a player like Savannah DeMello. She's a rookie that I've had my eye on since the draft. I thought it was a very smart pick from Racing to sort of, kind of have a duo of young midfielders to come in and try to continue their development at the professional level with this Racing Louisville side. So you've got Howell, you've got DeMello. This second season, there's no sophomore slump that we're witnessing from Emily Fox. I really I'm really enjoying her performances in these regular season games. And of course, we've been talking a lot about Jessica McDonald and Laura Millay as well. I would love to see that relationship continue to develop more chemistry. So I'm leaning Louisville in this one. I would like to see a win from them.
I have a question for you about this Racing Louisville team. I agree. Savannah DeMello has done phenomenal things. Emily Fox has taken this year and just continued to grow. Have you seen enough from Jalen Howe? Are you seeing progression from her in that defensive 6 role to be a difference maker in this game in the league?
I am. I know that there's maybe an early narrative right now around Howell that people want to see a little more from her, but I think within the system that we're starting to see from Bjorkgren and Racing, she's being asked to hold a lot more. And I think maybe for this Racing Louisville side, that's not something that they were used to having in their first season. It was an area that they needed to target, and they tried to target that immediately through the draft with a player like Howell. So I think it's still early to determine whether a player like Howell is sort of being lights out at the professional level. But I'm currently pleased with the performances that we're seeing from her. I think with having another young player alongside her and DeMello, who's who's really kind of the one that's kind of being the linchpin of in terms of the attack and getting behind set pieces and these services that we're seeing delivered by her. That's going to be something that stands out for people, I think, in terms of highlights and things like that. But it's being a six in this league, being a defensive mid in this league. It's a tough job, and it's why a lot you don't see a lot of people maybe volunteering for that. You get beat up a lot, especially in NWSL, but it's important to sort of look at that middle third and see the relationship between those two players, because you can't have there's not going to be one midfielder who's excelling in the attack and then another who's just forgotten about. It's because maybe they're doing sort of that quiet work that maybe people are anticipating. So that again, I'm looking at duos here. I want to see the development more with Howell and DeMello in the middle. I want to see the development with Malay and McDonald. There's some good duos here on this pitch when we're starting to see really early on, and I would like to see it continue to develop for Racing. So I'm going to go with them in this one and stick with it. Hopefully they prove me right, and we'll see if they go undefeated in 5. I'm going to be ringing the bell a little bit, but we'll see.